Hello, welcome back to my living room. My name is Amy Lillard, and I am the Executive Director of Washington Filmworks and WhipSmart, if you're keeping track. I'm delighted to be back for another update about what's happening in Olympia with our 2 bills to increase funding for the Motion Picture Competitiveness Program. We are on week 5, if anyone is counting, and I will tell you, people at Washington Filmworks are counting 5 weeks into this session. We have 4 weeks left to go. Just want to start with a shout out. Yesterday, we announced the deadline for the business letter of support, and overnight, like literally, actually in that day, we had 119 people on board in the beginning of the day, 151 at the end. So thanks for those that signed on to that business letter of support. It's another tool in our toolbox to get legislators to understand better the impact of film. So great job there. So lots and lots of activity has happened. We are moving into what I would say are 2 critical weeks for the bill. One of the things I just wanted to start off by saying is that we heard a lot from people this week saying, wait a second, like the bill is dead, it's cut off and it didn't get out of committee. Well, I'm very pleased to report that that is not the case. Our bill is called NTIB, Necessary to Implement the Budget. So our bill is not subject to any cutoffs in Olympia. And really the only cutoff that we're looking at is March 10th, which is the last day of session. So the bill is very much alive and we are working it every single day. So in the exciting news category, I'm very pleased to share the news that we do have our bill, which is House Bill 1914, scheduled in the House Finance Committee for executive session. This is the opportunity for the bill to be voted out of that committee, which is critical in this process. And if it does get out, the next step in this process is to get a vote on the House floor. So we will be talking about ways to engage to help make that happen towards the end of my part of this conversation. And then on the Ways and Means side, so in the Senate, the Budget Committee is called Ways and Means. We are still waiting for our hearing in that Budget Committee. I will tell you, we are making good progress and we are having great conversations with leadership on the Senate side to make that happen. So no news yet, but we are hopeful that we'll have news early next week about that scheduled hearing. In the more great news category, I just want to give a really honest, earnest shout out to Senator Lisa Wellman, who's our prime sponsor in the Senate, and our prime sponsor in the House, Representative Marcus Riccelli. These 2 people are pushing really, really hard on these bills. So they are working them side by side with us, and we couldn't be more pleased with the conversations that we're having. I want you to know that they are both deeply, deeply committed to that $20 million mark. So they're doing our job. We're going to ask you to work the bill with us over the next couple of weeks. Again, I keep saying this, but budget committees are very serious committees, and we're all going to work together over the next couple of weeks to get these bills out of committee. So also on the great news front, if you missed it, there was a really nice cross-cut article this week that came out. I was really pleased to see Lisa Brown, who is the director of the Department of Commerce, saying some nice things about film in there. And then also shout out to Senator Frocht, who has been a great champion, sponsor of the Senate bill, and a great champion of film. He had a great, amazing quote in there as well. So if you haven't checked that out, it is on our social media channels, and you should. As always, my job in these conversations is to give you ways to engage. So with that, tomorrow, our intention is tomorrow, barring any unforeseen circumstances, but we are going to be issuing an action alert for constituents living in districts where budget committee members live. So that's very confusing. So our job is to win over the hearts and minds of all the elected officials who are in the budget committees. And so the budget committee, again, is House Finance. And then in addition to that, on the Senate side, it's Ways and Means. And we are going to ask if you live in a district with one of those elected officials who sit on those committees, We need you to write them. We have 2 objectives. Get that bill out of committee and onto the floor and keep it at the $20 million mark. Those are our 2 asks in these emails that we are going to ask you to write. That action alert is coming out tomorrow. We're going to give you all the tools you need. We're going to give you talking points. We're going to give you contact information for those elected officials, and we're going to make it easy for you to do. But again, I sound like a broken record, so I'm acknowledging that I sound like a broken record, but critical time for the bill. These budget folks need to hear from us. You've done an incredible job, and I want to acknowledge that, but let's keep pushing. Let's keep the pressure on and get over this next hurdle together. So we're also anticipating that when that Ways and Means hearing is scheduled, you'll see another sign on for support out. So again, lots of ways to engage. And again, stick with it. We're over halfway there in terms of this session. We're week 5. We got 4 more weeks left. And I always go back to my mainstay comment, which something feels very, very possible. Elected officials are doing their job in Olympia, and we're going to do our job to help push this over the finish line. So with that, if you have any questions, info@keepfilmandwa.com, we will respond, or you can always give us a call. But we're going to move to my favorite part of the evening, which is I love giving you all the updates and all the great news happening out of Olympia, but I love even more welcoming people to the conversation that you may or may not know. So it is my absolute pleasure to invite Andi Day to the conversation. Hello, Andi.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Ooh, I think you're. Oh, there you are. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And you are the executive director of Tell Us, I know, but tell us.
Yeah, the executive director of Pacific County Tourism, which you're more likely to have heard of us by our consumer-facing name, which is Visit Long Beach Peninsula.
Visit Long Beach Peninsula. And we're going to ask you why in a little bit. But first, like for those that may not be very familiar with the geography of Washington State.
Sure. We're down in the very southwest corner of the state. And our county essentially wraps around Willapa Bay. And so we are bordered by Columbia River to the south, and then the Pacific Ocean, and then the bay.
So that is all, like when I hear all of these bays and water and all that, that means for us in the film industry, incredible locations. And it's funny, every time we actually get to connect, and we've been connected for a long time because you've been our longtime film liaison down there, which we'll talk about. But you're always telling me about how you've got another thing that's come through town, another film, another project, another this. But how about telling us what are some of those key locations down there that drive the work so often?
Right. Well, I mean, I think the thing we have, in spades is our beach. And while it's not technically the world's longest beach, it is one of the world's longest beaches. And it's a wide, beautiful silver sand beach, and it is drivable. We have a portion that's pedestrian only in the summer months, which is also useful for projects. But during most of the year, it is drivable. And it was, in fact, the original state highway in this area. So that is a really key filming asset, I say. That's probably our most popular thing. But we also have several ports, marinas. We got some great towns with, really rustic charm, fishing villages, so to speak. And then we actually have an historic village of Oysterville, where the entire, a neighborhood is on the National Register of Historic Places. And we've got a lot of beautiful county roads with water on one side and pastoral scenery on the other side. So yeah, we've got lots of scenery.
Well, okay. So I'm just like, rumor has it that you had not one, but two Super Bowl commercials come through recently. So let's start talking about
that was such a big win for us. I mean, we're a tiny county, right? We only have 23,000 residents about. And so I'm always, I use that as an example all the time, like what possible area with, could ever get not one, but two Super Bowl commercials in, right? It's probably the most expensive marketing there is. But we had a Jeep commercial that was filmed on our beach here in Beards Hollow. And we had the Ford F-150 commercial that was filmed in our Porterville Waco.
Mhm.
And
Well,
so,
there you go. Well, there
yeah,
you
it's
go.
awesome.
No. And are they airing this? Do you know if they're airing on the Sunday?
Those, no,
Mhm.
well, they might, I don't think so. But I think they both aired, I think it was in the 2019
Mhm.
Super Bowl. So we, of course, grab those and, we push them out all the time.
It's
And,
funny. I was in
that's
Olympia.
the thing about film projects and the benefit of having film projects in your community. It's not just that initial impact. You can then leverage that and repurpose those materials to create, destination marketing materials moving forward.
100%. So as I started at the top of our conversation, you've been our longtime film liaison in that area. Can you talk a little bit about what that means? And I know that, tell us what you do as a film liaison when people come to town, and talk a little bit about that role.
Yeah. And, honestly, I totally fallen into it, right? I mean, we do the destination marketing for the county. And so we would get a call and I think, and answer the call. And so as we started getting more and more of these inquiries, we realized that we needed to pull some material together and some best practices, and that we needed to learn ourselves, what and anticipate what would be asked and how we could help. Um, and so it's been really interesting and fun, and I've met a lot of really awesome people, and got to learn about a lot of cool projects. But I'd say the number one thing, it seems to always start with permitting. And so that was, something. And then also too, it depends on the type of the project, but a lot of times we kind of need to help. Like we've had, I think, 5 episodes of Beachfront Bargains now. And so they want them to be a little bit different each time, and maybe they'll have a theme or an angle. And so we kind of help them with their itinerary planning and connect them to local businesses, um, things like that.
Yeah.
Just some different, locations
Mhm.
that are, and so I think it's really important to have a really good understanding of your area and know, like, what things are in which jurisdiction so that you know where they need to go for permitting,
Mhm.
things like
Mhm. Yeah, so it's, I think what makes it so valuable is you solve problems, right? So as you know, the work that film is so unique, and it's different every time. As soon as you think you got to like nail down and you got everything figured out, something else happens that you have to, work with the production to fix. And one of the things that I respect so much about you is that you make sure it works for your community as much as it does for the production company and I think that's part of the reason why you've been so successful. For those that might not know, Washington Filmworks does have a whole network of film liaisons across the state, in hopes of when you go to different destinations that you have an ambassador, like the person that we're talking tonight, who's so seasoned at it, that can help you problem solve in areas. So we strongly encourage Pacific County, of course, but know that these folks are all over the state as well. So I kind of want to go back to what we were chatting about before we got on, because, what I love about what you're doing, Andi, is that you said, why does the county invest in film? Like, why is that part of the strategy? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, and I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge you all too, because you guys send us fabulous leads all the time, and we really appreciate that. And we are really happy to pick that ball up and run with it. And the opportunities and the resources that you guys provide are really have been really beneficial to us as well. But yeah, the thing about our area and our tourism economy. Um, as I mentioned, we have a very small residential population, but we are a big tourism economy. And more is not always more. We've gone to the point, especially, certain times of year, um, where we are looking for ways to, if we want to find ways to make our community more resilient, and diversify our product, we need to find, some other revenue streams. And so, we identified our board actually, and I have to give them a lot of credit. So several years ago, they started really leaning into, some sustainable tourism growth initiatives, right? Making sure that we were, using our resources, in the best way possible, but also, making sure that we were being effective in our work. So we've been working for years on things like not just increasing the number of visitors, but increasing the visitor spend, extending the night stay, um, increasing engagement, hyper targeting our marketing to an aligned audience, reducing wear and tear on our natural resources, increasing profit margin. Those are all things that we've been working on. And film projects, we realized, is a fabulous way to do all of that, because one great project can bring in the same, and it's very dispersed, direct spending as, 30,000 overnight visitors in 3 days' time. So,
Say that again, right?
so that's, a way for us, and less wear and tear, and quite frankly, less work. I mean, these people all work so hard running their businesses. And so, we found that this was a way to, work smarter, as they say, right? But then the real icing on the cake is that earned media factor. So, like I said, we then have, we got a top tier production company to come in and make us a destination marketing commercial. Not really, but we treat it like that because we're very scrappy and resourceful. But,
No, yeah, scrappy isn't the word. Like we're smart, we're efficient, we're effective, right?
Yeah. So, that was the thing though too. And it has, as a marketing tool, it's really, has that lasting impact as well. So we also realized too that we can, in the projects that we seek out or field or help to, we can help, use our filming projects to offset the seasonality. So they come midweek, right? We're always slammed on the weekends. But midweek, we always have room for growth. And filming projects don't happen on the weekends, they happen midweek. So that was like, yay.
They do.
Things like that too. And the thing too is not every filming project needs to be done on a sunny day. So the Jeep commercial, we wanted a cloudy, rainy day.
Yeah.
Ironically, we had to bring in a water truck.
I know. Oh, really? That's hilarious.
Can you believe it?
That's hilarious. Well, we have just about a minute left. So tell us, I know that you've been developing these incredible resources that are not yet debuting, but what if the film industry wants to find you, what do they do?
Yeah, so we took these incredible results, and these findings back to our tourism development fund, our county tourism development fund, and we said, hey, we'd like to explore this a little bit. And they gave us a special project grant. And so we're kind of creating a marketing suite of materials. And so we've got a website coming online soon. It's going to be filmpacificcounty.com. And we want that to just be like a one-stop shop for any project or location scout or anybody in the industry. So it'll have locations, past projects, links to permitting. We've tried to find anything we can do to facilitate and premeditate questions. And then we'll follow that up then with a suite of materials, a one sheet, FAQs, resource lists, things like that. And we're still learning all the time too, but.
Well, we're still learning too. So you're in good company, I like to say. But so again, Andi, we're so, first of all, like the gold star of film liaisons, like always responsive, always like that's how you're getting the work. And like, you're just like, I can't wait to point other people to all these incredible resources that you're developing. But thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting our efforts in Olympia. Before we officially sign off, I just, to the community again, gosh, these are critical weeks. Budget is serious stuff, and we have some really, really good momentum happening. 2 action alerts coming your way. When you see those action alerts, jump on it. This is the time. We got some hurdles to get over. We can do it if we do it together. So, Andi, thanks for being here. And I
Thank
can't wait to
you.
visit.
And thank you for all your great work and support.
All right. All right. We'll see ya.
All righty. Bye.